Greetings comic book fans, I'm Jason and welcome to my comic book reviews for the second week of March 2015. Today it's a smaller haul than usual, 14 books to get through, so the target is to try and keep this video to 20 minutes because there's only 14 books. So with that being said, without further ado, let's get into the reviews, and we're going to start off by a bit different this week. We're going to review the books from the independents first, so let's go to those independent reviews. So here we are for the indie books this week. First up, we've got 3 indie books, 1 from last week, 2 from this week. So we're kicking things off with Big Man Plans, issue number 1, written by Eric Powell and Tim Welsh, with art by Eric Powell. This story follows the adventures of this character on here, Big Man, who we don't know anything else about him. That's the only name we've got for him, is Big Man. And he's a dwarf, and we join the story in 1979, and he goes into a bar and he orders a neat whiskey, and the barman brings him over a clown cup with chocolate milk in. He says, "Here you go, little man, here you go, big man, here's your chocolate milk." And he's like, "I ordered a whiskey." And he's like, I could lose my liquor license serving whiskey to you. And then somebody else at the bar jokes, "You have to be so high to get the Big Man drinks." So he drinks the drink, turns the cup upside down, he leaves some money under and says, "Your tips under the cup." He walks out, and this kid is like saying, "Oh, look at your legs, aren't they small?" So then we jump back into the bar where the guy's checking under the cup, and there's a grenade. We then jump to outside the bar, this fantastic double page spread as the bar blows up behind him, and he's beating up this teenager that was, you know, making fun of his legs. I really liked that open. Straight away from that open, I didn't know nothing else about this character, but I already really liked him and really empathized with him, so that was a great start. The rest of the book, then we get his life story, we get his birth, and we get his childhood, and we get, you know, him going to Vietnam and then coming back from Vietnam and ended up in jail, and we get his whole life story and all these things that have happened to him. By the end of the book, we still have no idea the direction of this book, where it's going, where we're going next. We know all about this main character, Big Man, but we know nothing about it. Yet that doesn't hamper your enjoyment of the book, and I don't know where it's heading, but I'm hooked, and I'm definitely on board for the next issue. It's a dark and grim book, but I really enjoyed it and had a great time reading it. And if I'd have got this last week, it probably would have got my pick of the week. But I'm going to give Big Man Plans, issue number 1, a definite 5 stars out of 5, and I'm looking forward to the next issue. So next up from this week, we have Unity, issue number 16 from Valiant. This current arc, they're going to a different member of the team and giving us a story of them. This issue is the turn of Eternal Warrior, and we see Gilad, the Eternal Warrior. He returns home after his battle with the United, and he's injured, and he heals up. And then, you know, we get this kind of nice introspective issue that really lets us know more about the character. And he kind of is like, he's lived so long that there's some things that should never be forgotten, that time erases things and forgets things, and he's there as this kind of guardian to make sure this doesn't happen. And we get this story from his past that kind of then connects to the present, which is really nicely done. Really great insight into the character. I'm really enjoying these comic issues and how each one is looking at a different member of the team. I think with this issue, whether you enjoy it or not is whether you get the core story, and if you enjoy it and have any kind of emotional resonance with that story, I think would depend whether you think this is a waste of an issue or this is a really good issue. Personally, I really enjoyed it. I loved the story and how it went. Really great stuff, and I'm going to give Unity issue number 16 5 stars out of 5. So our final indie book this week, it is also from Valiant. It is Ninjak, issue number 1. And what was a surprise when I got reading this is we have 2 stories in here. The first story, which is the main part of the book, as Ninjak going on this mission, he has to infiltrate this group called Weaponeer. and they make weapons for people. If you can win their trust, they will make weapons. Now, only one of the leaders is known, and what I think is it MI6 he works for, or is it something funky like MI16 or something like that. I'm trying to say, oh yeah, MI6, it is MI6. So they know one of these leaders of this group Weaponeer. So Ninjak has to go and has to win this guy's trust, and that's basically what this whole issue is about. We don't get to see him do that much ninjaing, but we do get to see him being a spy and winning the confidence of this guy, so that he can get in with this group and find out the other identities of the leaders. The other story, which is a really nice turn of pace, is The Lost Years, and it's set 10 years earlier, and as the early days of Ninjak as a spy. And that's really cool to kind of show, as we see him in the first story, he's accomplished, he's very good at what he does. But here in this Lost Years story, he's not. He's at the beginning of that journey, and he's not good. He doesn't seem to have the martial arts skills yet, and he doesn't really have the spy skills either yet. So it's very interesting. That's going to be interesting to follow over time and see him become who we know him as now. And that. So yeah, I liked that usage of the book, and it was a surprise. And I'm not usually someone who's a big fan of that kind of thing, having two stories in one issue. But I thought it really worked here, and you didn't feel shortchanged from either story. My only disappointment really with the character was that he's another billionaire, and like I could have lived with if he'd have been a millionaire, because working for MI6 he's become very rich and now he's wealthy. I could have lived with it, but the fact that he comes from a rich family and he's obviously had something bad happen to him that's made him go down this path, I kind of thought like it has that feel of been there, seen it. But maybe they're going to take it somewhere interesting later on, you know. But I thought this was a very good first issue. Lays out who the character is. Yeah, we don't get a whole lot of ninjaing, but we get who the character is, and we get the introduction into his world and this first mission that we're obviously going to follow for this first story arc. So I'm going to give Ninjak issue number 1 4 stars out of 5. So those are my indie comics. Next up, we're going to review the books from DC Comics. So yeah, next here we are with the DC reviews. 3 books this week from DC Comics, 1 from last week and 2 from this week. So from last week we have Green Lantern issue number 40. This is written by Robert Venditti, who also writes one of my favourite Valiant books, XL Man of War. I really like the Green Lantern as a character, and Hal Jordan's always been my favourite Green Lantern. I first started reading Green Lantern back when Jeff Johns did Green Lantern Rebirth and then relaunched the series out of that. And that was my first introduction into the character and into the book. And I really liked it. My one big complaint in the New 52 is that it's been too connected to other books. And as a consumer, as a reader, it's made it very expensive to kind of keep up with the Green Lantern, because they've had so many crossovers and stuff that, yeah, it's just made it difficult. So I've ended up jumping off of Green Lantern because it just was coming too much. There were books that I wasn't really into that I'm having to read. It became more of a chore than a joy. However, with this new direction, it looks like we may be going away from that, which is a good thing. And maybe I'm not the only one who's felt that way, because it certainly seems like DC have listened and they're going in a different direction now with Green Lantern. This issue kind of brings to a close the whole story of Hal Jordan as leader of the Green Lanterns. And he comes up with a plan in this issue that the Green Lanterns have got this really bad rep in the universe because of the Guardians. So he's thinking that if he gets kicked out of the Green Lanterns and they put everything bad on Hal Jordan, that there's somebody there that they can blame, and the Green Lanterns can go back to doing what they do, and that's helping people. And he enlists Kilowog's help in doing this. And Kilowog is like, you're going to do this, I'm going to make it look good, you're going to earn this. So like he has to basically have a fight with Kilowog to go through with this plan and to really be able to get away and be cast as the villain, because nobody else is going to know. Everybody else is going to think he's gone rogue, that he's gone bad again. Really emotional in parts. I really enjoyed the story. I found it very easy to follow. I hadn't read Green Lantern for about, damn, it must be at least 6 months. Yeah, I found this issue really easy to follow. I was really into the battle and the real emotion in the battle, and I really like that. And when we get to the end, I love how we leave it and the future direction. My only complaint is we've got to wait 2 months to kind of see what's going to happen next. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a really great conclusion to the current arc if you've been reading it long term. But if you haven't, this is well worth checking out, just to see maybe the new direction of Green Lantern might be for you. But I'm going to give Green Lantern number 40 4 stars out of 5. So now onto our books from this week, and it's just the 2 weeklies this week for me from DC. We have the New 52 Futures End issue number 45. This is the fallout issue, the fallout of all the Brainiac stuff from last issue. There's a nice moment at the beginning with Amethyst and Frankenstein, and that story kind of goes in a direction I didn't expect it to, and it was quite sad and quite emotional, and caught me by surprise, because you're always thinking that there's going to be some kind of things are going to turn out right, but they don't in this case, and it is sad because Frankenstein's part of the story, from going from like when he first come into this book, has always been my favourite part of the story. So it's a sad conclusion to that, but we get a conclusion nonetheless. We then join Superman and the Justice League and get the fallout as they're trying to help build New York back up after their battle with Brainiac. And then we get to see, kind of like with Batman and Mr. Terrific and the Atom, all of them kind of the consequences of using Brother Eye. And that kind of pushes the story in the direction where it's going to go from now on. So that was really cool. The art, we have 2 artists, which could have been a problem, but I feel that the colorist does a great job of keeping the art together, because even though there are bits where you can tell it's a different artist, because the color scheme and the palette that they use is the same throughout, it really helps give the book a universal feel all the way through. I didn't like, however, how they drew our Batman of the future, our Batman Beyond Batman. I didn't quite like how they drew his face. It just looked funny to me. I was also, the bomb part of the story that didn't work for me was the bit with Faraday and Voodoo. It confused the heck out of me, and I didn't know what was going on there. And I don't know if I've forgotten something or if I'm just not following. But yeah, I didn't. But that's really been one of my least favourite parts of the story all the way through. So maybe that's part of the reason, because I don't pay as much attention to it, because it's not part of the story I'm really enjoying. Overall, though, I thought the good in this issue kind of evened out the bad. And I definitely, by the end of it, I'm excited to see where we're going to go next, because it gives us a very definitive direction, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in this. Are they going to stop the rise of Brother Eye, or is this going to be it? So yeah, I'm really excited for next issue, and I'm going to give this issue, our Future's End, 3 stars out of 5. So our final DC book, our other weekly, is Batman Eternal issue number 49. I like that cover. I don't know why, but for me personally, it kind of has a kind of golden age kind of feel to that cover, which, yeah, I liked that. This issue, a lot of this issue was a mixed bag, really, and the art in the top of that. There was bits of the art that I like, like you open that opening page and you've got those police cars. That looks really great, and I think the colorist does a great job here. I really did like the colors here, and then we have our opening, that Join Gordon in the prison as Penguin is going to kill him. But then there's other bits where, like, you look at this double page spread of the Bat family and you look at how Batwing is drawn. It just looks wrong. It don't look right. And that was the thing. There were parts of the book that were great and worked well, and there were parts of the book art-wise that just didn't look right. I liked the stuff, like as you saw briefly there, the stuff with Penguin and Gordon. I thought was really good, and I thought that scene played out nicely. I liked how that scene went. There's a nice moment between Spoiler and Cluemaster. A bit too late for Cluemaster to kind of get the resolution he wants from that scene. But I did like that moment that he kind of acknowledges that, she's done good. And I like that, and I'm really liking the spoiler as a character. I didn't understand why the Bat family were having so many problems. Okay, they've got no communication, they can't talk to Penny 1 or Penny 2, but I didn't understand why that was such a big problem. Surely, yeah, initially it would be they'd have to adjust, but surely their fight skills would come through then. I didn't quite understand why they were having so many problems. They're not always in contact with with Penny 1, so why was it such a big problem now? We're no closer as well to the big bad. We do get a really nice Alfred kick-ass moment, but we're no closer to who the big bad is. I thought they were in the Batcave with Hush, but obviously they're not. So I'm like, this is issue 49. I think this finishes at 52. I'm like, if they reveal it next issue, you're leaving yourself 2 issues to kind of explain who the big bad is and why they've done all of this and how they've done all of this, and then kind of you get the resolution. And I think personally they should have had quite a few issues to kind of finish the story, so that you kind of have like that Batman's beaten and then he comes back, where now you're going to have to do it too quickly. Yeah, I'm a bit concerned how this is going to end, but I would really liked by now to have known who the big bad was. But all in all, I'm enjoying this series. This issue I felt, like I said, was a mixed bag, so I'm going to give Batman Eternal issue number 49 3 stars out of 5. So those are my DC comic reviews. Next up, we go to Marvel. So we have 7 books from Marvel to review this week. First up, we have Thor, issue number 6. And this issue, we're delving deeper into the mystery. Who is the Goddess of Thunder? Who is the new Thor? I like the beginning of this book. We get the backstory of Dario Agger at last, and how he becomes the Minotaur. And I really like that. I thought that was really cool how they did that. There was a kind of a bit of disconnect, because like, what happened to the pirates in his origin? I'm kind of like, he's a kid and suddenly he has this power. How would he do now to keep them alive? Wouldn't he just, in his rage, just kill these people that have just killed his family and everybody he loved? So there was a bit of a disconnect there, but it was cool, still cool seeing an origin story for Dario Agger. There were some really great moments for Thor in this, as he's trying to find out who the Goddess of Thunder is. And this leads to some great scenes between Thor and Heimdall, and Thor and Jane Foster. 2 really great scenes that I really loved and enjoyed. Some great dialogue between the characters there, that was great. It looks, unless there's going to be a twist, it looks like this issue reveals who the Goddess of Thunder is. Unless there's going to be a real twist next issue or in future issues, it pretty much looks like definitely we know who it is. I like the scene at the end between Odin and Freya. That was really great. I'm kind of conflicted with how I feel about how Odin is acted. Part of me's like, no, Odin wouldn't act like that. He's the guy who sent Thor to Earth to get humility. But then I kind of think back, well, no, he was always the guy that complained that Thor stayed on Midgard too much. So I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted whether Odin would be behaving like he is. But by the end, every Thor that there is going to be should always have their initiation of having to battle the Destroyer. And it looks like our Goddess of Thunder next issue is going to have her initiation. Really enjoying this book still. It's just such a great read. And the art, you know, when they said they were launching a new Thor and Esad Ribic wasn't going to be the artist, I was like, what do you mean Esad Ribic isn't going to be the artist? But I really enjoyed Dowderman's art on this. Has been great, and it's worked well. And it's like Esad Ribic's art worked well for where the last kind of story was, for that arc and that whole book, The God of Thunder, where that was. His art worked for that, and I just think Dowderman's art is really working well for where the book is now. So, all in all, this is just a fantastic read. Really recommend picking this up. This is the 6th issue, so you've got to think at some point they're going to get the trade coming out. But I'm going to give Thor issue number 6 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have New Avengers issue number 31. This issue, the great thing about Hickman is that while sometimes his stories can be impenetrable and you have to be reading it all the way through, you can't just jump onto a Hickman book. The one great thing with him, if you stick with him all the way through, there will be no stone left unturned. There'll be no plot thread you're wondering, well, where did that go? This issue brings a lot in. We see the Black Priests, we see the Black Swans, and it all leads to the reveal of who this god is that the Black Swans worship, and it is a doozy of a reveal. The whole issue kind of builds to that reveal, and it builds well. Like I say, you can't just jump onto this book and start reading it now. You'll be completely lost. You need to go back to the beginning and read it. But yeah, I'm enjoying this, and I thought this, like I say, this issue built well to that end reveal, and yeah, it's great for long-term readers as all the points are coming together. And I give New Avengers issue number 31 4 stars out of 5. Miss Marvel issue number 13 next. I'm like, why did I not jump onto this book sooner? This book is just an absolute joy. It was terrific. I really enjoyed it. It reminds me a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It has a lot of that vibe, the way she's dealing with life while also dealing with being a superhero, and kind of a superheroine is kind of it's grounded by this real life stuff that she's going through, and I like that. I also really like the fact that she's a Muslim, because I think so many heroes are like white males, and it's really great having somebody from a different religion, and we get to learn a bit more about that religion. I think that's a great way, because I think a lot of prejudice is based off of ignorance that you don't understand, and I think by learning more about like different races and different cultures, I think is always a great thing, and to do that in such a fun way with such a great character, I think is brilliant. This issue was a fun story. Basically, auntie and uncle's child, who I think would be her cousin, but like sometimes people, they have aunts and uncles that aren't like blood relatives. They just say, oh, that's your aunt and uncle, but they're not actually blood relatives, which I'm kind of presuming this is that case, because surely it'd be a bit weird marrying a cousin. But yeah, so she doesn't really want to meet him because she just remembers him as a kid picking his nose, but then she meets him and they have so much in common, and he's really handsome and they get on really well. And they go to the DVD shop to look at some old Bollywood movies, but Dad's like, you can't be out alone with a man. So her brother goes along to act as chaperone, and then a supervillain shows up, and things kind of start going a bit pear-shaped for Kamala. Really great story, loads of fun, excellent book, a couple of fantastic twists. The art just works fabulously well with the story, and I really enjoyed it. Everything about this book I just absolutely loved, really enjoy it. Don't be a fool like I was and not buy this. This is just a fantastic read, well worth. Pick it up in trade, pick it up in single issues, but just pick it up because this is a fantastic book. And I'm going to give Miss Marvel issue number 13 5 stars out of 5. So jumping right along, we now go to Silver Surfer issue number 10. I'm really loving this current run. You can see so much of the Doctor Who influences here on Dan Slott, who's a massive Whovian. You know, Silver Surfer, how he is quite doctorish. His relationship with his board, similar to the Doctor's relationship with the TARDIS. And Dawn being that earthbound companion that grounds him and reminds him what's it like to be part of the universe. Very much same as the Doctor's relationship with his companions. Previously in this book, we had this planet they ended up on, where survivors, called New Haven, where survivors from the planets that Galactus has ravaged, has eaten, that survivors all go there to live there, and it's hidden. But because Silver Surfer's gone there, suddenly it's appeared to Galactus, and Galactus shows up to eat this world. Dawn is totally disgusted with Silver Surfer when she finds out what he used to do. And Silver Surfer decides he has to save these people, and he tries to battle Galactus, which doesn't go well. This issue, we continued that there needs to be a sacrifice, if you will, to save this world. And so a really great story that twists and turns, and I was just hooked all the way through. The art is just fabulous and works so well with the book. I just really liked it. The writing and all the characters was great. And at the end, the direction and where the book's going from here looks really interesting. I'm really loving this right now, and I'm going to give Silver Surfer issue number 10 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have a Fantastic Four, issue number 644, and this continues the End is Forever story arc. It's part 3, but if you look at the top as we go on, the End is Forever, I don't know if I can't remember if it's disappearing or it's appearing, but yeah, something's going on there. I like the Fantastic Four logo. I thought that was really good. This was another good issue. It's a shame James Robinson seems to be coming into his own with this book, just as they're kind of finishing it, which is a shame. The story's all action. All the different characters are dealing with stuff that is going to get resolved in the next issue. Is the last issue. So we've got the Thing with some of the Avengers battling these Avengers from another universe that was made up in Franklin's head. We've got the Invisible Woman with Namor and the original Human Torch going into Franklin's dream world to kind of find out why this dream world has been perverted. We have Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, with Valeria going to deal with the Quiet Man. So yeah, loads is just happening in this issue, and everything's going on. It's all action, building beautifully to the big finale, and I was just hooked with this. It's really great. Valeria looks really young in this, and I think that's one of my things with the character of Valeria, is depending on the book, sometimes she looks older, sometimes she looks younger. I know she's only supposed to be like an infant, a child, but sometimes people draw her and she looks a bit older than that, and it's just sometimes that inconsistency across different books. It can kind of confuse you, thinking, oh well, wait a minute, and that takes you out of the story. But all in all, I'm really enjoying this, really interested to see how it's going to end up, and I'll give Fantastic Four issue number 644 4 stars out of 5. So our penultimate Marvel book is Spider-Gwen, issue number 12. Not issue 12, issue number 2, sorry. I don't know, this book just lacks something. It lacks that magic that first issue had, and I don't know if because the story's so connected to that issue and it was so long since I read that first one, if that's kind of affecting it, but it just doesn't seem to have the magic that and the charm that first issue had. It's nice seeing Spider-Ham again, and it's a clever way that they bring him into the story, so that was cool, that was good. Like I said, there was some cool moments throughout the issue, and it's always cool seeing alternate versions of characters that we know and love, but there's just some kind of magic lacking from this, and I can't put my finger on why. But I'm in two minds. While I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the story and where it's going, I am contemplating whether I'm going to keep getting this book, just because it just isn't hitting that spot for me that I hoped it would. But I'm going to give this issue of Spider-Gwen, because I did enjoy it. I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5. So finally, our final Marvel book this week, it is The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 16. This sees Peter Parker, our Spider-Man, return to the 616 and kind of get back. This issue very much is a great kind of first chapter in the current arc, as it sets up where the story is going from here. It reintroduces Peter Parker into the world, and it catches him up with everything and tells us this is where he's going, this is what's happening. So it's all really cool how they do that, and it sets it up nicely. We have a nice little backup story dealing with Black Cat, which I really liked. It really got us into our mind a lot more, and I really enjoyed the backup in here. Very interesting. Nice issue. It really sets things up nicely. That's all really I've got to say on it. Nothing major happens, but it sets things in motion. So I'm going to give Amazing Spider-Man issue number 16 4 stars out of 5. So those are the Marvel books. Let's find out who's my pick of the week. So here we are now. My pick of the week for this week is Star Wars issue number 3. This book's just been a real delight, and this continues the trend. I'm really loving this. Every time I read this book, I revert to a child. I revert to my younger self. It just feels so authentic Star Wars. I'm there, I'm making lightsaber noises. When we come to Darth Vader scenes, I'm doing the breathing in between him talking. It's just a delight. All the characterizations in this are spot on, and I like the banter between Han and Leia. That felt very authentic. Luke, and you know how he is, and Vader. And the other thing that I really liked about the book as well was how it's kind of playing into things in the movies, like how Vader becomes kind of obsessed with who is this Luke Skywalker. Who is this pilot, this character? Who is he? Like, I don't know if he knows his name yet, but he becomes upset. You can see why that's happening. It answers the question as well with Luke. How would Luke know to continue his training? How would he know what to do? And that gets answered here as Luke is kind of questioning, can I become a Jedi? I've got no one to train me now, no one to show me what to do. Even down to the fact that we get to see what happens to Guido's body after he gets shot. All these little things that it's playing and it's picking up from the main film is just fantastic. And if you're a Star Wars fan, you need to be buying this book, because this is an absolute delight, and it will really scratch that Star Wars itch. So yeah, my pick of the week for the second week of March is Star Wars issue number 3. Well, welcome to my final part of the video. It doesn't look, if I'm adding these totals up for each part of the video, it doesn't look like I made my mission and made a video for 20 minutes. It looks like I yacked on too long again. But this week, Company of the Week, what this is every week I take the books from each company, I add the totals, divide it by the number of books from that company to see which company got the best average score out of my reviews. So in third place this week was DC Comics with a 3.3 average rating. Next in second place was Marvel with an average rating of 4.3. And in top place, number 1, was the Indies with a 4.6 rating, average rating on their books. So the Indies won Company of the Week for this week. I will be back at the time of recording this. I'm going to upload it the day after. So at the time this is uploaded and people will start watching this, my whole video will be up on the Wednesday. That will definitely be up. It's the easiest video I do, so that will be up. Then I will have my review video up at some point. I don't know when. I'm working the weekend. I think I'm off on Tuesday. So yeah, but it will be up around, yeah, it will be up at some point, a review video. I am at the moment, kind of because of my new job and my time being different, not having as much time as I did before on my hands to record videos, I am kind of considering doing my videos in a different way. I will still do them. I'm not going to stop doing them, but I am kind of looking at it. For now, I'm just going to leave it as is until I make a decision. But I have got a couple of ideas. I record them in segments, so I'm kind of thinking upload them at different days, at different times. So instead of having one big review video, one day you'd get the DC comic reviews go up. The next day it might be the indie reviews and my pick of the week, and so that's one idea I'm kind of thinking of, though I don't think it would make much difference to being able to record it, because I have to read all my books to see which is the pick of the week. So I wouldn't start doing my video till I'd read all of them. So I don't think that's going to really help, but that was one idea. Another idea I've got is just to do my comics of the week, just to pick with that week. Say I've bought 16 books, and you know, I pick out of them, say 6 of them are like, I give 5 stars. So all the books that get 5 stars I'll review, and they're my comics of the week. And within that video I would also have my pick of the week. So yeah, that's another idea, because it would be a shorter video, so it would take less time to do. So yeah, like I say, those are the couple of ideas there I'm kind of considering. If any of you have got any kind of input, any ideas, please feel free comments below to give those ideas. So yeah, so in short, I'll be back on Wednesday with a whole video and back at some point early next week with a review video. Thank you very much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Give me those beautiful thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, so I know you're liking what I'm doing. I've been Jason. This has been my comic book reviews. Bye for now.